So these people can do their little mental health bullshit scams in the last now 11 years since 2015. So facts keep getting denied. And the same thing keeps going around in circles about. So they're trying to basically not pay damages of 11 years. So as for, the languages I speak, go back to 1984, St. Aidan's Roman Catholic School in Rooty Hill. Okay. I haven't got the documents there, but Latin was taught, and we had to actually go. So when we were making our first Holy Communion, we actually had to go to the nunnery that was actually making the Eucharist as well. And to do the first Holy Communion, it was taught by Father O'Grady, and it was also taught by one of the nuns. We had to learn Latin because back in the 80s, Latin was still in Mass. We're Roman Catholic. It what was phased out in the 80s. So if you went to a Roman Catholic church in the early 80s, still Latin was still the Mass. It was all said in Latin. The only church that I know still does it in Latin now is St. Mary's Cathedral. So that's why we're taught Latin. So my religion upbringing is taught Latin. We're going around these circles. It's ridiculous. So these organisations that want to basically, dodge paying damages of 11 years since 2015, since that dirty abo that I brought the dog from lied about me. French was taught in my high school. French was part of the curriculum, not Indonesian. Amanda, let me tell you how Indonesian started. Miss Campbell, so pin that. French was part of the curriculum, the long curriculum, so it's a long-standing curriculum, and the way that Our Lady of the Rosary College worked. Okay, you started year 7 at Our Lady of the Rosary College. You had to learn all of the electives, and then at the end of year 8, you got to choose your major electives for years 9 and 10. When you completed years 9 and 10, you moved on to McCarthy to do your HSC. The school was separate, so that way the younger students wouldn't interrupt the HSC students. So there was Our Lady of the Rosary College and McCarthy, 2 different premises. So that way the teachers that were focusing on only, so it was separate. So that way and that's how it used to be when I went to school. Okay, it was divided. So the students that were studying towards the HSC weren't disrupted. And that's how it was. So I went to Our Lady of the Rosary College. So what you do, you started with this group of curriculums. And if you actually have your Year 10 yearbook, you will see your curriculum in it. So when you get your Year 10 yearbook, when you finish school, it shows you all your subjects. Okay, there's all the subjects that we learned. Well, I learned. Now, as per Indonesian, so there was 2, actually, let's stick to French. There's 2 French teachers. So the 2 French teachers were Miss Davids and Miss Craig. I had Miss Craig for music. Miss Craig was lovely. And so Miss Craig was a French teacher and a music teacher, and so was Miss Davids. There's Miss Davids and Miss Davis. 2 different people. Let me show you. I mean, this is just utterly insane how these losers just keep jumping onto it. It's actually a really good high school, but not now. I don't know, like the premises where it's built, my cousin was telling me it's like they've changed it. Like it's all changed. It's all like the area grew and they actually got rid of the high school there and they've combined it to McCarthy and they made all one. I'm like, oh God, really? I mean, that was like 30 years ago when the high school there, so things would change. Here's my French teacher. So that's the teacher who taught me French, right there. That was my French teacher, right there. And that is Miss Davies. Okay, as you can see, Miss Davies was French and music. And Miss Craig, there she is here. This is the other music and French teacher. Yeah. I had her for music, Miss Craig, just there. And I had this one. Oh, and there's a clear one. There, Miss Craig. Okay, what's she doing there? With the piano recital. Okay, so that's Miss Craig. I had her for music, and I had Miss Davies for French. So yeah, French was a strong part of the existing curriculum. Now, what happened was One of the horse people that my mother knows happened to be a school teacher there. Mrs. Campbell, that Amanda sucks up her ass. So, there was no horse husbandry before Mrs. Campbell. She introduced it. Now, she put it towards the board, and she was only allowed to have that if she got the numbers. So she had to get the numbers. So, of course, Amanda, suckhole Amanda does everything that Carol tells her to do. Suckhole Amanda made up the numbers. Then Miss Campbell goes to Indonesia, and she wants to bring Indonesia to the high school. She could do it as long as she had the numbers of students that would sign off on it. I wouldn't. It's like, fucking Indonesia, no thanks. So I've done 2 years of French. I did 1992 and 1993 of French. So 1992, 1993 was French. 1995 was Italian. That was part of art. And then, of course, in 1996, with communications to do with fine arts certificate, there was also aspects of Italian as well, because you had to learn Italian as being part of art or fine arts. So how my languages went was 1984 was Latin. Also, the translation of the Bible from Aramaic, Hebrew into English, which is why we, as Roman Catholics, know what Baruch atah Adonai is. Am I pronouncing it correctly? From the Old Testament, because we have 2 books, the Old Testament and the New Testament. We do not follow the King James's Bible. That's not our Bible. That's not Roman Catholic. That's Church of England or Protestant or some shit. We're Roman Catholic. I've had this debate with my ex-partner Giovanni several times because he follows some King James's Bible. I'm like, well, that's not a real Bible. That's the fake breakaway. No, I don't. We're not raised by that. My family is raised by Roman Catholic, the Old and New Testament. He goes, oh, well, who wrote that? I'm like, God, not some king. God wrote it, Gio. Now, this debate happens on my family because Dad's side are not the same religion to me. So this is where I've said to organisations, just because we're related doesn't mean we have the same upbringing, the same, social circle, the same social stature, social stature, social, you know what I meant? We don't have the same upbringing or likes and so forth, or, money as well. We don't have the same religion, and we don't even have the same, nationalities. There's a mother and father to each person, and there is extended families, and like the only thing that ever kept us the same was, I guess, our grandparents. Like the only thing that joins myself and my cousins is that we have the same grandparents, like Nan and Pop Fleming or Nan and Pop Purdy. The rest of it's completely different. The rest of our upbringing is completely different in every way, including religion. Religion is a massive big part of my family. My cousins on my dad's side don't get it because they're not brought up in the same religion as me, and they're very belittling to it. I find that to be very discriminative because my cousins have had several arguments with me over Islam because I've got cousins that support Islam on dad's side, and their attitude towards me, I'm like, I'm Roman Catholic. So don't bring it up to me again, thanks. And then I want to keep going in a circle. It's like, I'm Roman Catholic. You can respect the fact that my mother's side have been Roman Catholic for hundreds of years. And they don't. My dad's side did not respect my Roman Catholic religion. They're actually extreme, and they're the ones that cause all the trouble. They're extremely disrespecting, and, well, we would say disrespecting. They're also discriminative towards religion. When you actually look at my family, and then you've got my cousins. So my mum's younger sister, Mary Michalski, my cousins they're all Polish Catholic. So they're all baptized there in the Polish church that's in Quakers Hill. So my auntie, Miriam Michalski, her husband, Richard Michalski, who I grew up with, they're married in the Polish church in Quakers Hill. Their children, my cousin, Bradley Michalski, he's baptized there. Hayden Michalski's baptized there. Luke Michalski's baptized there. We have my auntie Marianne is my godmother. We went right through Bible studies to do our Roman Catholic religion of confirmation, which is completely different to the way that Church of England does it. I've already had this discussion with my dad, so they're like, oh, but we've made it's like, oh yeah, I've made my confirmation. I'm like, you've made it with a different religion. You didn't make it under the Roman Catholic. Like, okay, who was the bishop? It's like, what? Exactly, there we go. So it's a massive big study to make it for the Roman Catholic Church, and the bishops there, like we had Bishop Kevin Manning, who confirmed us. My family priest was Father Henna. He became bishop of the diocese there of Bathurst. Now he's retired in Armidale. His cousin, another Father Henna, baptized me as soon as I was born. I come from a very strict Roman Catholic family, and I've been discriminated against because of it. So if you want to spew your Islamic scum cunt Musrat religion and think that you've got preference in this country is a Catholic country. Okay? My dad's side have too many they've done so much damage since I let them back in my life. That was December 2008. So my mum's side are, and I've always had good things to say about the Roman Catholic religion. I'm brought up in it through generation after generation after generation. Mum's cousin, who I catch up with at the Strawberry Hotel, his mother did a lot of work for the Roman Catholic Church, where the priest actually came out of retirement at the end of 2003 for her work in Balmain Roman Catholic Church there, and did her funeral. So, yeah, I'm brought up Roman Catholic. So, starting with my religion as a very young age, other languages were taught as per the translation of the Bible for starters. Okay, and if my twin sister Amanda doesn't remember this, she might want to stop and sit down for a minute and realize that she's been getting friggin' kept in a controlled environment under a bubble her entire life, fed bullshit and brainwashed. It's amazing she can remember fucking anything. How can you not remember your schoolwork? Anyway, back to Miss Campbell. Amanda did Indonesian, not me. And once Miss Campbell left the school, Indonesian folded. But French is part of the religion. Sorry, part of my schooling. French was part of Our Lady Rosary College for a very long time. And that's what I learned. I learned French. Then I learned Italian in 95. So French in 1992, 1993, Italian in 1995, Latin started in 1984, plus the translation of the Bible started pretty much straight away when I started as a 4-year-old at St. Aidan's Roman Catholic School there in Rooty Hill. Back in those days, as I said, all the churches, their mass was still in Latin. It was phased out in the 80s. So to understand your mass, your sermons, you had to understand Latin. That's why. And that's why I speak other languages, because I learnt them.